President Adela de la Torre approves an increase on instructionally related activity fees, and the University Gallery is hosting a major craft exhibition.
Students living on the west side of campus are unsatisfied with SDSU's highest level meal plan.
And for our Aztec fanatics, we have all the latest sports updates. The Daily Aztec Live starts now. Good evening and welcome to the Daily Aztec Live. I'm Joselyn Munoz.
And I'm Cindy Avila. We're happy to be back for the first time this semester. Thank you for joining us.
Freshmen living in the Chalutepec and Huachicac dorms on the west side of campus are facing difficulties with the lack of funds and food options. Students say the 15 to 20 minute walk to University Tower's kitchen and the garden, which are the only two locations that accept meal swipes, is too far of a distance, and instead, students say they would rather skip meals. Additionally, those living in the west side who are on the Flex 5 and Flex 7 meal plans have expressed rarely having sufficient meal funds and are having to pay out of pocket.
I love getting my steps in, but with my busy schedule, I don't think I could be making a 20-minute walk 3 times a day to get food.
Yeah, same here. I barely have enough time to walk to class.
On February 17th, more than 50 skilled trade workers participated in a strike at SDSU to fight for unpaid contractual raises and step increases which were promised to them in July of 2025. The demonstration took place across all 22 California state universities, with the employees hoping that by withholding their labor, they would obtain their raise.
This isn't the only demonstration that was occurred on SDSU's campus in the past 2 weeks. Just one day before, on February 16th, a student-led protest against unlawful ICE practices and the Trump administration made its way throughout campus. Fourth year Paris Wilson used her social media platform to organize the protest, which many students showed up on this rainy day to participate.
Earlier this year, Balboa Park began charging up to $16 per day for parking for the very first time. Reporter Adrielle Hasara has the latest updates on this new change.
I'm here in Balboa Park, where the city has officially started to charge for parking for the first time ever. As a result of this, many San Diego locals are upset. In response to this backlash, Mayor Todd Gloria has now created parking-free zones for verified San Diego residents. For decades, Balboa Park was one of the only places in San Diego where visitors could park for free, making it a go-to destination for families, students, and tourists. But now, unless you're a verified City of San Diego resident, you'll have to pay.
Balboa Park used to be one of my friends and I's favorite free activities to do in San Diego, and now that we have to pay by the hour to park, it's pretty frustrating and we don't come as often.
City leaders do say that changes are coming. Starting on March 2nd, expanded free parking lots will be available for verified San Diego residents. Still, some people who do live in the city say that they don't qualify.
I guess it affects me personally since I'm a travel nurse, so technically when I move to a place, I don't change my address. So I'm not able to get the resident parking even though I live here.
The resident-only policy leaves out temporary workers, students with out-of-town IDs, and others who live here but don't meet verification requirements. Critics argue that Balboa Park has long been a city staple, and they worry that paid parking changes accessibility to one of San Diego's most beloved spaces. From Balboa Park, I'm Adrielle Hasara with the Daily Aztec.
Increased by 45% instead of 41.1%. Beginning in the 2026 to 2027 academic school year, the $580 IRA fee will increase by $60 and will increase by $120 by the third year.
Too bad I'm graduating next year. Stay with us, sports is next.
Welcome back to the Daily Aztec Live. I'm Lindsey Belsky.
And I'm Adrielle Hasara. It's been a busy week in Aztec sports with champions, shutouts, and some huge games on deck.
Let's start with what everybody is talking about, men's basketball. After a tough road loss at Colorado State over the weekend, the Aztecs are still right in the mix at the top of the Mountain West standings. They now sit at 19-8 overall and 13-4 in conference play, with Reese Dixon Waters and Miles Bird leading the scoring in Fort Collins.
One of the big games this week was the home matchup against Utah State at Viejas Arena. On Wednesday night, SDSU finished strong with a final score of 89-72. Our Aztecs are really showing up strong this season.
So whatever the outcome, that game was huge for Mountain West seeding and for the Aztecs NCAA tournament resume. And while Aztec athletics continue to draw big crowds at Snapdragon Stadium, the San Diego community has run into a big concern.
San Diego taxpayers are still paying nearly $5 million a year for Qualcomm Stadium, even though it was demolished years ago and replaced by Snapdragon on the same site. Emily Barrera and Lindsey Belsky took a closer look at this stadium's cost and how it still impacts the city. Let's have a look.
We are here today at Snapdragon Stadium, and while this venue represents the future of San Diego sports, taxpayers are paying nearly $5 million a year for Qualcomm Stadium, even after it was torn down.
Qualcomm was torn down in 2021, but its debt still remains. Now, Snapdragon Stadium stands on the same site, raising questions about how the city moves forward while still paying for the past.
Even now, San Diego taxpayers are paying nearly $5 million a year on debt, which is tied to Qualcomm Stadium, more than 4 years after it was demolished. This lingering cost has raised questions about how the city really manages their long-term debts. I spoke with Dan Diamato from Streets of Hope, a nonprofit helping the homeless, about this concern.
I think we have to have a balanced budget. In my opinion, like, again, you can't spend on things that you can't afford, and we see people going, again, bringing it down to that personal level, that live way beyond their means, and there's always a price to pay. I think San Diego is a great example of that.
As a longtime San Diego resident, Dan shared a little bit more about his perspective on the leadership in our community.
It's so polarized right now. We just need great leaders that care and lead, and aren't posturing. And I've lived here a long time in San Diego. I haven't really ever truly seen it. I think there's been some guys, some ladies and men that have done some good jobs, but I think it's both a system breakdown and also a lack of leadership.
Students and taxpayers that we spoke with, like Ivana Bustamante, said they didn't fully realize the city was still paying for the old stadium, and many were surprised by where that money goes.
Not great, considering I also pay tuition here that already goes to sports in some way, so I don't think I love hearing that, especially because I had no clue. I have never read anything about it yet, so. I'm a working student. I have to finish paying the rest off with the money that I make from my job, and I don't make a lot, so it's kind of interesting to hear that my taxes are going to something that doesn't exist anymore.
As the city continues paying off this debt, taxpayers say the conversation now turns to accountability and how future public dollars are spent for our community. And for the Daily Aztec, I'm Emily Barrera.
And I'm Lindsey Belsky. Thank you for listening.
Baseball season is off to a promising start for the Aztecs. On February 20th, the team kicked off the season with a 3-0 shutout against BYU at Tony Gwynn Stadium, thanks to a pitching staff that held the Cougars to just 6 hits.
Wow, and of course, they've also been reminded how tough this non-conference schedule really is, dropping games to Utah and USD all over the weekend, which came out to 7-0 and 15-4. The Aztecs continue non-conference play this weekend here in San Diego.
Softball has been out on the road as they just shut out UC Riverside 8-0 in 6 innings and also faced National Power Oklahoma. This trip has been a good preview of what's coming up at the Aztec Invitational back home.
And we have to give a big shout out to swim and dive. The Aztecs just won their 5th straight and 10th overall Mountain West championship. Another title is coming back to San Diego State. Congratulations.
That's your look around the scoreboard and beyond. Go Aztecs. Coming up after the break, we'll switch gears to arts and culture. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Let's talk arts and culture and all the ways Aztecs are creating outside the classroom.
Yeah, if you're looking for something to do after lecture this week, campus is stacked with options.
Over in the University Art Gallery, the School of Art and Design is hosting Staying Power, a major craft exhibition running now through April 11th. The show highlights handmade work from faculty, emeritus professors, and distinguished alumni featuring ceramics, woodworking, jewelry, and more, all focused on the legacy of craft at SDSU.
Admission is free and it's right on campus, so if you need a break from Canvas and homework, you can just walk in, check out the work, and be back to studying in under an hour.
The School of Theater, Television, and Film is also in production mode with When She Became the Moon on Preby's stage. The play follows a young woman navigating identity, memory, and transformation in contemporary San Diego, blending intimate storytelling with stylized theatrical moments. The play runs through this weekend with evening performances, including tonight at 7:30 p.m.
It's an original work set in contemporary San Diego. If you're into theater, it's a chance to see your classmates on stage and support student actors, designers, and techs who have been building this show all semester.
If you're more into community spaces, the Women of Color Empowerment Group meets every Thursday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's a drop-in confidential space centered on support, mental well-being, and connection for women of color on campus.
And for those who are thinking about taking their education abroad, SDSU's Global Education Office has study abroad info sessions and advising happening all semester. The next drop-in advising will take place on March 3rd in Lambton Hall 419.
So whether you're catching a play, walking through an art exhibit, joining a support group, or planning to study in another country, there are a lot of ways to tap into campus culture this week.
That's all for Arts and Culture tonight. Thanks for watching the Daily Aztec Live. Stay tuned for our Spanish section.
We'll see you next time.
El 16 de febrero, una protesta liderada por estudiantes contra las prácticas ilegales de Servicio de Inmigración y Control de Aduanas y la administración Trump se extendió por todo el campus. Liderada por estudiante Paris Wilson, muchos estudiantes acudieron ese día lluvioso para participar.
Ahora los deportes. En el equipo femenino baloncesto ha sido una semana importante para las aztecas. SDSU se encargó de su victoria en casa contra UNLV 80-62 y luego lo respaldó con una victoria de 68-59 sobre Fresno State. Ese partido contra Fresno aseguró a los Aztecas una parte del título de la temporada regular de Mountain West y le dio al programa un nuevo récord con 16 victorias de conferencia.
La temporada de béisbol ha tenido un comienzo prometedor para los Aztecas. El 13 de febrero, el equipo inició el legado de Tony Gwynn con una blanqueada de 3-0 sobre BYU en el estadio Tony Gwynn, gracias a un cuerpo de lanzamiento que contenía a los Cougars a solo 6 hits.
El equipo de softball blanqueó a UC Riverside 8-0 en 6 entradas y también se enfrentó a la potencia nacional Oklahoma. Eso es todo lo que tenemos para esta noche. Mi nombre es Barrera.
Y yo soy Ivana Bustamante. We'll see you next time on the Daily Aztec Live.